Hey, it's Ryan Thomas, and I want to talk to you about the no-win situation. The no-win situation takes on a completely different level of intensity for a parent or a family unit or a child in a parental alienation situation. And what I mean by that is, look, when there's divorces, there's always going to be back and forth with a parent. You know, people aren't always going to be on their best behavior. There's going to be a little jab. There's going to be a little bit of a barb. There's going to be even the kid may play a parent off of each other. Well, dad lets me do this, or mom lets me do that. But when you're in a parental alienation situation, this is where a lot of times it's born. This is where that alienation goes from what you typically expect to be like, hey, you know, nobody's perfect. We make mistakes. Sometimes we make an offhanded comment about somebody else. But this is the roots of it. This is the roots where you can start to see the power and the leverage that you have over your child and how they think about the world and how they see the world. And in my situation, in this no-win situation, it was really a no-win situation not only for my dad, who was the alienated parent, but also for me, because it was constant turmoil, it was constant stress of trying to manage what was happening, manage the strife, manage the constant barrage of insults or of degrading a parent, somebody that I loved or was really trying to love as that younger child. And so that's sort of the context of what we're talking about here, is this idea of no matter what the other parent does wrong, you can find a way to have it be a no-win situation. And talking to my dad as adults, you know, he referred to it as a box. And no matter which way you went in this box, it was wrong. And if you tried to get out of the box, that was really wrong. But there's no way around, so that anything you can do is completely bastardized. So to give you an example, you have, in my situation, if my dad was to buy me something, it was told to me, he's just trying to buy your love. He doesn't really care about you. He doesn't love you. He's trying to buy your love, as opposed to all of the things that they would buy me. But if he didn't buy me something, then that was also something to say, he doesn't care. He's not a real parent. Because Ryan, if he was a real parent, he would buy it for you as your father. He would just pick it up and buy it for you. So either way, if he bought it, he was buying. If he didn't buy it, he was neglectful. It's the same thing with homework. If he didn't take the interest in it that they did or that my mom did, he didn't care about you. He doesn't care about your schooling. He's not a real parent. A real parent is the one with flashcards, not just asking about it, not just talking about it. He was actually the one that was doing it. So that's not a real parent. But if he did try to go an extra step, if he did try to take an interest or try to help out in that situation with homework, it was very easy to say, oh, I see, now he wants to be a parent. Now he wants to do something. Day late and $1 short. Why bother now? So anything you do that, from a child's perspective, anytime dad wants to get involved, it's a bad thing. It's for ulterior motives. It's to do something to manipulate me or to do something bad to me, whatever that was. But if he didn't do something, which, by the way, didn't do something can be anything that they make up, because the controlling parent and the regime gets to set the playing field. They get to set the terms. So not caring about sports, or not caring about helping with homework, or not buying something can be anything that they think of to find a way that he's not doing. He doesn't care about that. He's not interested. So if you're a kid and you grow up, just as an absurd example, if you're a kid and they're constantly saying after a conversation, did he ask you about whether or not you like it when the sun shines, and you go, no, he didn't really say anything about that, we just played. So he doesn't care about whether or not you like the sun, and he doesn't care about whether you want to go out and play in the sun, or if he takes you inside on his visitation, he doesn't want you to be in the sun. And you're like, I don't know, I guess. So it's an absurd example, but in this world of nothing you do is right, you're in a no-win situation. The alienated parent is constantly fighting against the unknown, because the controlling parent with all of the influence is the one that's telling the child what's important, what they should be looking for, what cues they should be looking for, both sins of action and omission. If they do something, it can be easily seen as a sin or an act of commission, and if it's not anything, then it's an act of omission. They don't care. They don't give a rip about you. They just as soon let you go out on the street as opposed to help you. So you really see again how that is destructive to the relationship, but also as the kid, I just thought that if my dad did something, it was bad, and if he didn't do something, it was bad, and he didn't care, and thank God I had Mom. Thank God I had all these other people to carry all the weight. And that was the story that was reaffirmed over and over and over again. You don't need him to do that. You don't need him to do that. We're the ones that take care of you. So he can take it and shove it. He's a day late and a dollar short. Things like that. But you don't need him anyways, because we're the providers. We're the ones that love you. No one else can love you. Not like we can. And if he didn't do something, it's just as easy to say, thank God you have us. You better be thankful every single day that you have us, because if you didn't have us, you see how he is. Be out on the street, living an awful life. You'd have no success. You wouldn't have any friends. You wouldn't have anything. You'd just be you'd be like a little shriveling nothing if it wasn't for us. And so what that also does is that also creates for me a no-win situation. Because if ever I want to say something that's in opposition to them, if I want to say something that says, I know you guys said this, but more that I'm getting older, I'm kind of realizing that I might like to do something like that over here. Really? We didn't have much problem with it before. And so it creates this control. It's an unending control. And that control will weave itself into every decision that the child, that me, makes. So you may have a kid that's this high or this high that's dealing with this kind of stuff. But it's not just about you and the relationship. This is something that's going to hang on, and that kid is going to need some help, because it's going to show up in other parts of its life, just like me. So when this became a non-issue about my dad, when they wiped my dad off of the map and they didn't have to worry about him anymore, it was just like, awesome, next. What else do we want him to do? Oh, he's got a relationship. Let's nix this one. Oh, he's got a marriage. Let's get into this, because this is not what we want. And so it really stays with you, so that anytime you want to, again, draw outside the lines, have your own thoughts, they will just as easily pull. Who was the one that was there for you? When he didn't care, it was us. When he didn't, it was us. If it wasn't for us, it gives them carte blanche over your entire life, over the child's entire life. They're always in a constant state of beholding. And at the same time, in my situation, you go from that selfish love, that controlling, that constricting love, whereas the other parent, in my situation with my dad, was the most caring, loving, giving love, unconditional love that there ever was, that I've ever experienced in my entire life now that I'm an adult. Thankfully, I've been able to experience his love as an adult. And it's so different. And the challenge is that when you're fighting that unconditional love, you want to keep giving it, but it just gets bastardized. Everything gets bastardized. So it's just a word to the wise that while it seems like it's really an issue of that parental alienation with the relationship between you and your child, it's something that's going to just stick with the kid for a long time, and maybe forever. But that's why the sooner we can get them to have those light bulbs go off and discovering what's happening. And I'll get into how do you start to let the child realize for themselves what's going on, and how that experience for me was light bulb, oh crap, oh my God, everything is not as I thought it was. That's where you want to get the child to be, because once that happens, you can start to deal with and help them through all of the complete upside down that they realized that their life was, and how everything they thought they knew is not right. But again, that's a different video, and that is a different set of concepts. So again, in a no-win situation, that is really difficult to you can really lose yourself, both the child and the alienated parent.